Usually there's two paths: more clients and leads, and then appointments, which lead to lead or conversions and sales. Or maybe you want more high quality clients or quality leads. Because here's the thing to think about for your business. Why is it that some people have rapid momentum and growth? And you might look at them, I might look at them and go, they're not that talented. Have you ever thought that way? What are they doing differently? It's great to be with you. Thanks for making us part of your day. We've got an exciting day ahead to talk about one key thing. How many remember the topic for today? Business what? Business mastery. Business mastery. If you're looking for a way to get more new leads, in fact, we're going to give you the 90-day roadmap to double your leads, double your appointments, if that's the type of attraction model you have. And we're also going to talk about doubling your clients in the next 90 days. If you'd like to learn those things, would that be valuable for you today? If that's the case, can you type yes in the chat window for me? That'd be amazing. You might be saying, well, who is this for? This is for you if you're in consulting, if you're in coaching, if you're in manufacturing, if you're a local service business, if you're a service trades business, if you're a chiropractor. We've worked with over 180 different industries, and we're going to share a lot of what we've learned, and especially what we've learned working right now. So I hope you're excited about that. Again, if you'd like to type where you're from and also the industry you're in, I see, promotions, advertising, I see Las Vegas, I see Ecuador, I see a couple popping in. Type where you're from in the chat window. And I'd love to know, what do you want to get out of today? Type it in the chat. I want a path to, double my leads, if that's the case, if that's really the main, or if it's, I need more appointments booked on my schedule for my team or for me or whatever it might be. Usually there's two paths: more clients and leads, and then appointments, which lead to lead or conversions and sales. Or maybe you want more high quality clients or quality leads. Please share with that in the chat window. So here's what I want to share with you before we get going. I don't know if you know this image right here. Can anybody tell me who the artist is that painted this, whatever you want to call it, this piece of art? Anybody know? Anybody know the artist that painted this? Because here's the thing to think about for your business. Why is it that some people have rapid momentum and growth? And you might look at them, I might look at them and go, they're not that talented. Have you ever thought that way? What are they doing differently? Right? So the artist for this painting is somebody named, and I might screw up the name and the pronunciation, I'm not very good at some things, Lucio Fontana. Lucio Fontana. And you can go look this up on your own. This painting you're looking at right now, can you believe that this painting sold for $1.5 million? $1.5 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I look at that and go, whatever. On the other hand, I kind of like more of this type of painting. How about you? I don't know if you were going to, and again, we all have our preferences, but this painting only went for $350 by a no-name artist. What's the difference? Today, we're going to share a lot of these things and distinctions for your business, because maybe you feel like you're the world's best kept secret. Maybe you feel like, golly, if only I had a way to generate beyond word of mouth, beyond referrals, my business could scale exponentially and do it profitably. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. And in fact, we're going to kind of tune into this idea of mastery. And one of the guides that I love to learn from is Picasso, Da Vinci, and many others. He says you got to learn the rules like a what? Like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, chances are, if you've been doing it for any length of time, in a lot of ways, you are an artist. You are an artist. Right? And building business mastery takes fundamentals to be able to build like a pro. And a lot of people have found that marketing is not easy. And so wherever you're at today, wherever you're coming in from, whatever experience, maybe if you're running a 6-figure company, you want to get to 7, we got you. If you want to go from 7 to 8 figures, we got you. If you want to go from 8 to 9, we got you. Why? We've done it ourselves, and we've helped our clients be able to. So wherever you're walking in, this version of yourself, I'm just going to draw up here on the screen. Whatever that version is today, just be ready. And we're going to come at you fast. I hope you got a notebook and so on. We don't make replays available typically. So wherever you're walking in today, this is going to be the old version of you after the next couple hours together. Because you're going to walk out of here a new version with the skills, the capabilities, the talents, the know-how of exactly what you need to do to get more leads, to get more clients, to get more appointments, ultimately to double your business in 90 days and build exponential growth. Is that what you're looking for, by the way? I know we're going fast already. So we're going to introduce you to the 90-day roadmap to double your leads, clients with predictable growth. Now, there's going to be 3 key parts of this training I want to just outline. The first part is really going to be about momentum, really about momentum. And we're going to cover what all of us need as a pro to perform like an artist. So we're going to cover in this first segment, momentum strategies. Then we're going to get into the depth of acceleration and scaling. Now, in the middle of this is that initial foundation piece. Without it, what happens? You know the answer. Like if we have a terrible foundation in anything, what happens to that house? What happens to that structure? Does it stay up and it's incredibly sustainable, or does it fall over? Have you ever felt like your business has fallen over? You had some things, maybe tactical things and so on, but it just didn't work as well as you thought it might be, or you've been following experts, you tried a bunch of stuff, it hasn't worked. You've been with an agency and they just can't seem to get a grip on like how to make it work for you, right? Because these key elements most of the time are missing in the marketing structure. We're going to walk you through those. So if you stick with us, we're going to go through the momentum phase. We're going to go through the acceleration phase. We're going to go through the scaling phase. Now, what does this have to do with? Well, you're not alone. I don't know if you face some of these challenges or problems in your marketing, but a survey by Constant Contact and Ascend2 found that literally 60% of small business owners consider finding new customers their top marketing challenge. How many find getting new customers your top marketing challenge? Can you type yes in the chat window, raise your hand, however you want to interact. And I encourage you, interact. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out of this, right? You're not alone in this. That's a pretty big company doing a pretty big survey. In addition, many struggle to allocate sufficient time to marketing. If you're a small business, a lean bit, we consider any small business 20 million and under. Usually it's a staff of under 50 people. Many of our clients are under 5 to 7 people, right? How many of you struggle to have time to actually do what theoretically should be done in marketing? Can you type yes in the chat window, raise your hand, do it on the thing, right? You're not alone, right? Another common factor, 43% feel lack of technical knowledge related to all this stuff that just keeps, it's like popcorn, a new thing comes out every day. You're learning from, so many different experts and it's conflicting, and we'll get into that a little bit. But how many of you feel like it's just so much to keep up with? Can you type yes in the chat window, raise your hand, however you want to interact? Yes? I see a bunch of yeps. Yes, yes, right? In addition, couple big constraints. This was done by Content Marketing Institute. Overall, they found that most small business have budget constraints. Is that pretty accurate for you? Maybe too, especially profitably, right? Again, you're not alone. Lack of actually resources, meaning maybe the team to get stuff done that you want to get done. You'd love to get it done. How many would love to get a lot more done with your marketing, but you just don't have either the money and or the people to make it happen? And you certainly don't have another hat to put on to go, spend 10,000 hours to learn this thing that everybody's talking about is the next big thing, right? We see this all the time, right? You're not alone. So here's why marketing is becoming harder, and it's going to get harder in 2025. There's all kinds of regs coming, and it's almost setting up a squeeze for small business. And that's unfortunate. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what we do. And we'll talk more about that as we go. But, there's too many platforms. Do you agree? Too many platforms. We got all these different platforms to try to figure out. Not only that, CRMs. Ads aren't converting that well. How many of you have run ads? Say yes. Type yes in the chat window. Or raise your hand. I've run ads. You've run ads. Have you run ads? Yeah. And is it really worked for you? Probably for most people, we find that over 9.2 out of 10 people actually say no. With my past agencies or trying to do it on our own. How many of you feel like you're the best kept secret? If they only knew what I could do for them, right? Very common with people we work with. A lack of consistent, predictable leads. How many feel that? Lack of consistent, like one day, 1 month, 1 week, it's up and then it drops down and up and down and up and down, this roller coaster. How about confusion of where to focus? You hear so much information and go run down that rabbit hole, go do chat GPT, go do this. And oh my God, it's the holy grail. But then for you, it's not really the rubber meeting the road, connect the dots. Have you felt that pain? Right? And then how about running down the rabbit hole of AI and all this stuff that's advancing at such a fast pace? It's hard to keep up with. Maybe you feel that way, right? That's very common. So our solution, today's training agenda in these 3 parts. Number 1, you're going to learn the 90-day roadmap to double appointments, double leads, double clients, and do that sustainably without working more, working smarter and working less. We'll show you what that means. Discover the proven lead generation strategy so you can attract high quality, high caliber lead. We're going to introduce you to a couple frameworks around this so you can take this and go apply it. We'd like to think that if you work with us, we'll help you get there quicker, faster, easier. Leverage the Breakthrough 3X Growth Blueprint. In the third part of our segment today, we're going to walk you through your custom plan. You're going to walk out of here with a custom roadmap for what you got to do now, what you got to do next, like tomorrow. What do you got to do this next 7 days? What do you got to do the next 30 days, the next 90 days? We're going to walk through this together in the third segment of our training together. In addition, we're going to help you simplify your marketing with our copy and paste templates that we'll introduce you to today. We'll create your custom marketing plan. We're going to plug your holes in your marketing. How many of you have seen conversions go down and costs go up for your lead gen if you're doing it, right? Maybe you're doing events. How many of you do webinars? Anybody do webinars? If you do webinars, type it in the chat window. Yes. Or you could call them a challenge, or you could call it a summit, or you have all kinds of different names for these things now. But how many of you have noticed your show up rates have decreased? How many of you have noticed that your sales, after you put up a typical thing and then the replay, oh my God, it's like I put all this work into this thing and this is all I got? How many of you felt that way? The results seem to be coming down and down and down. And we're going to introduce you to strategies that typically our clients get 30% higher conversion rates, generate leads. Number two, get more people to show up. And we're going to show you true statistics, not just theory, not me just saying. I'm going to show you some of the clients we're working with and what we do and walk you through in the time we've got. There's so much to cover in such a short period of time. And putting this together this week for you, we wanted to give you the most important needle movers that you could take action on. So we're going to introduce you to that. On top of that, we're going to introduce you to our implementation framework. That'll be part of the third segment. And all of this, just so it's all really crystal clear, if you haven't figured out, everything we're talking about is so you can generate more new leads, more new appointments, more new clients, and be on the path to doubling. Plus, if you stay with us in segment 2 of our training together, we're going to introduce you to our Breakthrough 3X Marketing Copilot, and this is not a tease. We are going to give you the ability to do it with us together today in that second segment, and we're giving it to you free. We want to change small business. Small business is being squeezed. We'll talk more about it. So our promise today and our time together, you're going to walk out with more confidence. You're going to walk out with more clarity. You're going to walk out with far more control than you had before with relation to your marketing. You're going to have the path to get more clients and unlock what we believe to be your higher potential overall. And then show you what we've learned working with clients that some of you may know these names, some of you may not, no big deal, including clients like the founder of ESPN, who's been a client, Bill Rasmussen, or Dean Graziosi, or Joe Polish, who runs a program in an amazing platform called Genius Network. Vern Harnish, he's a co-founder of EO and YEO, and his business partner, Daniel, have a company called Growth Institute. We've worked with them, and we'll talk about that a little bit and what we did for them. Janet Atwood and so many others. In fact, our portfolio of clients we've been able to work with has well surpassed 1.2 billion in growth and counting. We're pretty excited about. Now, my hidden agenda, because I want to just get this out of the way so we can just dive into these 3 parts together. My hidden or unhidden agenda for our time together. If you want to go faster, if you want help with this, we're going to make the invitation. And some of you might want to do this now before the calendar gets booked up because of the way the calendar is structured with the holidays and all the stuff coming. If you want our team to just help you and have a one-to-one discussion, which I'd highly recommend with our team to go through your custom plan, we will do that. And in that plan, we'll also give you access to the Copilot and show you some things to unlock in the Copilot that likely are going to help you. Number 2, we'll give you a customized plan for you. Number 3, we're going to introduce you to proven strategies so that you can simplify the marketing and predictably. And you can do that, and you can jot this URL. They'll probably post it somewhere here on the page or in the chat or whatever. Go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. That's breakthrough3x.com/apply. If you're new to our world, you don't know much about us, what is Breakthrough 3X for that matter? Well, we're a fractional CMO and marketing team that helps our clients implement, execute. We've got tools, systems, and team. And our approach, which is very different than traditional agencies, number 1, the diversity. We're not married to one specific traffic source. We have a team that can handle all 12, 13, 14, 15, and more. We'll talk more about that later. But we help our clients turn ideas to execution. Many of the ideas you might have, how great would it be if you could just execute it and you had a team that could do it? We do that. We also, along the path, we don't just feed you fish in our model. We teach you to fish, because there's nothing worse than having, a path, but then you're not empowered to run it. You're not empowered to delegate it. You're not empowered to know the details of it. So you get access to our team. We have teams of we got over 40 some people on our team now, tech experts, copywriters, graphics, traffic, email pros, SEO, marketing and sales advisors, content writers, and a whole lot more that you can tap into and have this fractional team. And it's a fraction of what you'd want. Try to do it on your own. Number two, the expertise and the wisdom, and we've got a body of work to be able to go. So if you want to look at us customizing your plan, giving you some unlock things to our marketing co-pilot tool that you're going to have access to for free. And number three, get your custom plan to be able to grow and scale. Then go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. Now, does anybody know who this guy is? Have you ever heard of Brian Tracy? Right? So Brian's become someone I've gotten a chance to know in the, some time ago. How I built a connection with Brian was I actually filled seats, applying the strategies I'm sharing with you right now for some of his events. And when I had a bunch of people attend one of his paid events, I don't know, a couple dozen or whatever it was at that time, Brian was like, I want to talk to you. And it started a relationship. And so I'm grateful for that relationship. I don't take it lightly. He's on the tail end of his years, of course. But Brian says, Dan simplifies marketing with his unique direct response branding strategies to give you a step-by-step blueprint, whether you're seasoned as a pro already or you're brand new or anywhere in between. Use it, apply it, and get ready to grow your business. Right now, we took everything and put it into this, mega 300 and some page book of blueprints, outlines, so on. And our team can share with you if you want to get that, you can. But, I'm just privileged to have relationships like this. This is maybe more like you, a normal everyday guy. Greg and his wife run a service business, a local service business, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, etc. And Greg, when we met, he was like a lot of people. First of all, it's a bunch of coaching. How many of you are in coaching programs? If you're in coaching right now, type yes in the chat window. Maybe you work with others, or somebody like that. Well, Greg he's worked with coaches where he's paid upwards of $100,000 or more for that coaching. So he's a super high performer, maybe like some of you, but he's an everyday guy. He's a blue collar worker, just loves people. He lives in Minnesota, just building out his business. He knew he wanted to grow, but we didn't know how to get there or scale with marketing. We've had back-to-back months bigger than our summer season, which if you know that industry, if you don't, no big deal. But usually the summer peaks and then they hit what's called a shoulder season in the service industry, and it drops significantly, usually by half. And our work together, he says, we've had more growth than any other summer season in history. And working with us, they've gotten over 100% year-over-year growth. How many of you'd like 100% year-over-year growth? Or to cut out those shoulder seasons in your business, marketing, whatever, right? Dan and his team's guidance go way beyond marketing, which is very true. He helps with challenges, with employee management, tough conversation. We're like a co-pilot CMO and a CEO co-pilot. If you want to grow faster with confidence, Breakthrough 3X is the way. Now, why does this matter to you, right? Why does this matter to you? I want to share a quick story here because I think there's a lot of learning lessons from it. Again, some of you are new to our world. We're just getting a chance to know each other. My first decade, how many years have you been in business? Can you type it in the chat? I'd just love to see what pops up. So let me give you a damaging confession. My first 10 years were an absolute mess. And for a lot of people, including my parents at the time, they were like, I don't understand why you just keep doing this. Like it was brutal. It was brutal. Sleepy. I was homeless, sold my car to actually go to a training. My parents never understood it. They were like, you're just nuts. And in a lot of ways from entrepreneurship, I'm so into capitalism and entrepreneurship. It's hard to describe. But my first 10 years, so I don't know where you're at in the journey. I see 25, 7, 5, wherever you're at in the journey. Here's what I've come to believe. I believe I learned this originally from Tony Robbins in the early 90s when I got started. Doesn't matter where you've been. It only matters where you want to go. The key is we got to start shifting habits, behaviors, and a whole lot more. And that first 10 years, I believe, brought me a lot of learning lessons. Now, I'm going to move beyond the 10 years and fast forward to a point where, I'd kind of moved beyond foundation and, we had grown a company doing about 7 figures and it was up and down and up and down and up and down. And it was around when this online stuff really got introduced. And I don't know about you, hearing about digital or online marketing, kind of the same thing. Don't get caught up in the terms. Just, it was moving from more direct, like phone and face-to-face, to more scalable online stuff, if you can kind of just keep it that simple. And I remember being excited about it. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And at the time, I had a team of 20 people in the office. And I talk about it in my book more at length, and I'm going to make this the shorter version. But I remember about once a month, I like to do this exercise. And this exercise, I pull out a sheet of paper. And when I pull out that sheet of paper, what I like to do is I actually like to identify, what what is the path to 2x our business in the next 90 days? And I just keep doing this over and over and over again. And I remember sitting down with that sheet of paper and I actually started to sweat. I started to sweat. And it actually got me a little nauseous. I don't know if you've ever been there, because I had 20 people. And part of that strategy at the time, the only thing I really knew, okay, it was predictable what I could do. So for me to go 2x, I needed to add another 20 people on my team. And I don't know if you've had employees, I don't know if you've had a team or whatever, but the idea of that got me a bit nauseous. Can any of you relate to this at all? Right? And I was like, oh my God, I got to find another way. And it was around the internet stuff, like I'd mentioned. And so I went on a quest, if you will, to be able to learn how to get this in place. Because, I don't know about you, you're probably a sharp person. I felt pretty sharp that if I just had a pathway, I could figure it out. And so I went hardcore for the next 6 months. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. And I wrote sales letter, offer, sales letter, sales letter. This went on for 6 months. And guess what happened? Virtually nothing. It was like, oh my God. And then the choice was grow with 20 people, figure this out, figure it out. And this was about the time also, I don't know about you, but I had a pretty huge ego at the time. I think we all need a strong ego, but it was a defeating ego, not one that served me really well. And I had a partner. How many of you have ever heard of the idea 2 comma club? If you've heard of the idea 2 comma club, can you type yes in the chat window? Yes. Yes, I see some of you nodding your head and so on. So the actual creator of the 2 comma club is someone named Joshua. And in my company, I wanted to have, maybe like you want to have, recurring revenue. How many of you would like to have recurring revenue in your business? But the idea of writing a newsletter myself, I was heading down that path, but I just didn't want to take the time because more bandwidth out, resources, etc. And I had met Joshua through a friend, and Joshua had this thing called the 2 comma club, and I had read it. And so he flew out to Arizona, where I was at the time. And literally, we struck up a partnership in one day together at the Sheraton in Phoenix near the airport. And what ended up happening was we partnered on the 2 comma club. At the time, it was called the 2 comma club newsletter. And so we became the exclusive to promote it, market it at the time. And we started selling it on every sale we made. We'd make it available as a trial. And the conversion rate on it was almost 95% because it was a free trial. And then we built it online and we put it in place on our online, and it started. And all of a sudden we built this thing. Ultimately, just to give you some perspective, the 2 comma club newsletter grew to over 10,000 paying subscribers. Now imagine what that would do for your recurring revenue. Now, at the time we were sitting there just creating it, literally we built it together. Joshua said, Dan, I've never met anyone who implements as fast as you in your team. And I didn't realize it then how important that speed of implementation for others was going to be, as it was for Joshua, because it changed his life, changed our life. We became great friends, became great collaborators and partners. But out of the 2 comma club, Joshua asked me, hey, is there anything you need help with? And I hope you write that question down and you become someone who goes out in your business communities and just ask your fellow entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders, that key question. You'd be amazed if you just take that in and then try to connect them to solve that problem, whatever it is, or just get them connected to a resource or an introduction. It will change your business. Joshua did that day. And what ended up happening, he flew home. I gave him our stuff for the sales letters. I'd been writing for 6 months, long and hard, and no results. He called me back the next week. He goes, Dan, first of all, I love what you're doing. Second of all, I've got good news, bad news. The bad news is I want to start it from scratch. Would you allow me to interview you? Would you allow me to interview your customers? Would you allow me to interview your team? And we'll make this the best dang thing that you could ever want. And that's when I got to see a real pro scientist essentially apply the science of marketing with the theory of marketing that a lot of people really talk about. It was getting to know your customer. Who are they? What problems you solve, and being able to actually communicate it better than the clients themselves. But when they heard it, they felt like they were, someone was talking to them. So we did this, and it only took about 90 days that we went through this process together. He unbundled some of the most incredible wisdom from me in my heart and my head, and we launched. And that launch became us growing to amazing results. And we went from a struggle, right? And what I learned from that, we grew to over 300 new clients a week in our education company. Imagine that. You go from about 100 a month to about 300 a week, what happens, right? Now, there's a lot of work that went into all that. On top of that, we went from a product suite that was 1 or 2 products that, got us sustainable to 7 figures, but this grew to 8. We got to a point of 10,000 leads a day. We got to a point of having 1,000 plus different clients and different things we were doing. And I learned a lot, and I hope you'll take some of this from it. So number 1 is I learned a hard lesson that a DIY mentality, do-it-yourself mentality wasn't serving me. Number 2, that my strengths and sales were part of my weakness in being able to scale something in marketing, because marketing in some ways is like one-to-many selling. But if you're the one in the way, like I was the one in the way, there's no work. Can some of you relate to this at all? Can some of you relate to this? I kept hitting a ceiling, doing it my way. And it wasn't until I let go a little bit and allowed a process, and then, the extra implementation to scale a business. Another lesson: to scale a business, you got to scale you. Got to scale you. And I don't know where you're at in that journey. Separately, I didn't have a delegation system, right? Didn't have a delegation system. I was trying to run a $10 million business. I don't know how many of you ever felt like you had a $10 million business inside of you, but you were trapped in whatever it is now. I felt that way, right? And although, again, most people wouldn't, sneeze at a 7-figure business, I knew there was more. In addition, I was in all these roles. I was the CEO. I was the person running execution, in charge of sales, in charge of marketing, in charge of fulfillment, in charge of finances. And it held me back. And I felt burned out. And then the real breakthrough came in integrating these online strategies, right? And then some of the other learning lessons, that marketing is really about planting seeds consistently and frequently. Yet no expert that I know of really talks about that. We have clients who come into our world that ultimately get started, who've been following us for 15 years. It's crazy to me. We've been doing this for 15 years, and then people go, I'm ready now. Now, when would now be the best time is what I tell my kids on our football team. But planting seeds, control the controllable, right? Number 3, get visibility, build romance and relationships, not transactions in your marketing. Now, these might sound, and I'm going fairly quickly, but I hope you're getting these. Number 4 is have a global focus, not a local focus, even if you're a local business. You can have a global focus to go bigger. In marketing, connect with people. Pique their interest. In other words, just ask them a question if they're interested. Get into the conversations and then lead to the conversion. That can be done digitally or at scale, or it can be done one-to-one or a version of that. Next, build your company like a pro sports team. When does a sports team stop looking for another quarterback? If you don't know the answer, here's the answer. Never, never, right? The Atlanta Falcons, I don't know if you follow football, and no big deal if you don't, but the Atlanta Falcons had a quarterback they just paid, I forget exactly the amount, but over $100 million guaranteed, I believe. His name's Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins is getting sat on the bench for a guy they drafted as his potential replacement, because true pro sports teams don't stop recruiting. Now, how can you do that as a small business? How could I do that as a small business? We're going to walk through some of these things. Next is working with pros. What does it save you? You guys know the answer? If you think you know the answer, type it in. Working with pros does what? Saves you time and money. And then I'll add an extra little benefit. Working with a pro usually brings out the very what in you? The worst in you, the mediocre in you, or the best? They bring out the best. They get you to see things maybe you didn't see before. They get you to inspired, encourage in different ways. That little company I started with, that 20 people, grew, and we had all these divisions. This company grew to over 200 employees in 3 different offices. We went from relying on one avenue of traffic. At the time, it was Google, actually. We started back then with Google. And then referrals. We had a second. Partnerships. And imagine, like, for you, as you're looking at this diagram, how many ways, here's a question, how many ways, and type it in the chat, please. How many ways do you have clients coming to you right now? How many sources of traffic? Is it 1 or 2 or 3? Well, what if it could be as simple as just adding, in a sane way, other traffic sources to expand your business reach, right? What would happen if you got in Rumble? What would happen, and you may have never even heard of it, what would happen if you expanded and were tapping into LinkedIn? What if you were tapping into direct mail, tapping into radio, tapping into TV profitably, and it was managed, built, and grown for you? How would that change the game if you went from wherever you're at right now, 1, 2, 3, to 9 or 7 or 12? This is a huge competitive advantage, right? This kid went from growing up in the inner city of Detroit Don't know if you know the area, but you can look it up near Southwestern High School, near a little school, elementary school called Harms School. It's kind of fitting for the inner city of Detroit, to building a business in the state and then ultimately growing nationwide and globally. And it's been a gift. Today, I'm a husband. I'm a pop, our grandbaby who's turning 3 this month, dad, and 1A is being a husband. I'm the founder of this company. Had multiple books that have been runaway successes. Forbes rated our Growth to Freedom show as one of the top shows available. We've been able to work with over 250,000 clients. But the first 10 years, again, I want to come back to this. My first 10 years were a train wreck. What was the shift? We're going to talk about that. We're going to show you how to apply that to your business. We've now coached over 5,000 CEOs and founders, 180 industries, been able to contribute to incredible, impactful programs and charities and organizations like Richard Branson's Virgin Unite. Been able to work with some of the biggest names in the expert we covered a little bit earlier. Not only did I sell one of my companies, I sold a second company. And now we've been able to do other impactful things, like be able to raise a lot of money for different charity and organizations around the world. And our focus today is to help 1,000 founders, maybe like you, everyday people, help you grow by $1 million or more in revenue per year. Through you, impact 1 million+ people in your ecosystem, which we believe will have over a 1 billion person impact over time. A ripple effect, if you will, for entrepreneurship, capitalism, being able to go out and build something as a small business, right? And the truth is there can be problems in this. Traditional marketing is dead, right? Plus, there's a lot of outdated information. I don't know if you've seen some of our other work, but you hear me talk about sometimes the idea, and I don't know if you relate to this, but the most expensive marketing is what? Do you know? Bad marketing. The most expensive marketing is bad marketing. And is it any wonder if somebody is following outdated info that they're not really getting the traction they feel they deserve, right? So we're stuck in a lot of ways with fragmented tools or insights, inconsistent leads, and it lacks a system. You can't build a $10 million company with a $1 million plan. You can't build a $1 million company with a $250,000 plan, right? So I want to introduce you to the future of marketing, direct response branding, right? We're going to walk through each of these steps, give you examples. So again, you can take this and implement. Are you learning some good stuff so far? Some key lessons? All right. So here's a quick question. Type this in the chat, please. How would you rate your current marketing system right now? 1 is low, 10 is high, and an indicator of how well that system runs is it runs without you having to be involved. So we got 6. I see 1, 4. What else? Type it in the chat window. 5, David, thank you. Tim, 1. Running smoothly, Bashar. Cool, 2. John. Hey, they say the first progress starts by telling the truth. Dan, 4. Dan, good to see you. Jody, 0. That's honest. That's about as honest as you could be. So wherever you're at, remember, you're walking in as this version of you today. Wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. What matters is where you want to go, and then just hanging in there. And guess what? You're going to walk out this person today. New capabilities, new talents, new structure, new frameworks, and a whole lot more. Now, this framework we're going to talk and introduce you to has been through the trial and tribulation of us reviewing over 5,000 companies, and in many ways is like a recipe system for this. Step 1, and you probably want to write these down. Step 1 in the process is to get a clear vision and growth plan. And again, we're going to unbundle this as we go. We're going to actually do in stage 3 of this today, we're going to unbundle this even deeper and deeper and deeper. So if you want to just get momentum, we got you. If you want to accelerate, we got you. If you want true scaling, we got you there too. Number 2, connection campaigns. Hey, what's the chance that if they don't know you, that they're going to go to your business? Is there any chance, right? There's no chance if they don't know you. So you got to connect with them first. And it's so amazing how many experts, most of them theoretical, don't talk about the importance of connecting with people and how to do it. We're going to walk you through a blueprint to be able to do that today. 3, lead machines. You got to have predictable lead machines coming in every single day and a vehicle for that. We'll walk through that. 4, education-based conversion event. Isn't it interesting that Apple does an education-based event each year, twice a year, one for developers, one for the masses, and they do billions and billions of dollars? Disney does something similar. The NFL does something similar. Nike does something similar. All the big brands do this. But what if you could take that idea or framework and do it as a small business? We're going to introduce you to that and some of the power behind that today. Next, step 5 is go deep, optimize and scale. And we're going to give you some things to really tune on, probably you've never heard of from any other expert in the world until today. The old way of marketing has been historically like this, a lot of disconnected islands. You got your Google over here, you got your Facebook over here, you got your SEO, your direct mail, and it's all fragmented in different things and even maybe different people in charge of them. And they're running it instead of it being like the new way, which is essentially creating, we call this direct response branding island, where you're bringing it under and it's uniform and their dots are connected and it's like links in a chain working together. So step 1, vision and growth plan. 2, connection campaign. Step 3, lead machine. Step 4, who remembers step 4? Education-based conversion events. Conversion, like we want conversion. How many of you want more conversions? Right? So there's ways to do that. Again, we're going to walk you through specific examples. And number 5 is go deep in scaling. Now, I don't know if you've taken the time to map out your client journey, and this is just a quick snapshot, but we have found there's 9 key elements in a small business client journey. Most people have never thought of it. They've got to know you first. They got to respect you. Because how many of you have ever heard from other experts that to get people to buy from you, they must what? Know you, like you, and trust you. How many have heard this, right? Now, it sounds good, but it's not true. It's actually not true. How many of you bought something during the holiday season here that you didn't know the company or you didn't like them? You didn't know enough to like them. You just bought it because you needed it. You wanted to get a gift for somebody. So the idea that you must get people to know you, like you, and trust you is utter boulder dash. Boulder dash. The real science shows us, neuroscience shows us they got to know you, yes. They got to respect you. Authority, credibility, if not super credibility, authority, right? I'll give you a quick example. My daughter introduced me to a boy she's dating recently. She's 19 years old, and I'm a protective dad. I don't know if you could relate. So he introduced me. So I didn't know him, but through her, I have a little bit of affinity. Because of her introduction, he's a nice guy, da-da-da, I had respect for him, right? I did not trust him at all, right? Did not trust him. I didn't know enough to like him. Because the real science, neuroscience shows us that in human behavior, they got to know us. That's obvious. They've got to respect us and trust us. Now, what's a byproduct of those 3 things is likability. But how many of you know that there's a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that are people pleasers? Have you all noticed this as a characteristic? So if you teach a bunch of people that are people pleasers, the way to get people to buy from you is they got to know you, like you, and trust you. Have you noticed that a lot of people give their stuff away for low prices? Have you noticed that a lot of people give stuff away and or feel like they're undervalued in the market? Part of it is not their fault. Part of it, if you're that, it's not your fault. It wasn't my fault until I realized this revelation, which is what it was, is they got to know us. They got to respect us. They got to trust us. A byproduct is likability, but don't lead with likability. Know, respect, trust. And trust, of course, is earned in time, which is also why it's next, right? Why it's next. Next, I'm going to clear that drawing here. Next, there's a bridge here in the process with marketing to get people to just make the conscious choice to say, I'm comfortable enough to what? Try it, test it, try it, test it, try it, test it. This shows up in a phone call. This shows up, someone calling in, they see your number on a service business. They feel trust enough, or maybe their problem is just big enough right now. They need an emergency solved and then they call your number, right? But whatever you've got out there is ultimately to bridge this fact, to get them to test it, to try it, and then you can make it or break it. How many of you have ever run into sales organizations that are too over the top? They're too salesy, they're too pushy, they're too far gone, right? Instead of selling it, the ultimate model is to get people to move through know, trust, respect, to test it, to then they buy in. Is Apple good at this process? How many would agree? Yes. How about Disney? Are they pretty good? I saw a recent report that said the average family that travels to Disney goes over $2,400 in debt per family that goes to Disney each year. That's staggering because they're so good at these pieces, know, respect, trust. And then people go and it's a world-class experience in so many different ways. And it's 100 times what the competition is at a little amusement park, that they buy in and are willing to buy in at all kinds of costs, right? What if you could mimic this as a small business? Well, guess what? We'll show you how. Next, once they buy it, you're not done. John Paul DeJoria, we had a chance to do some things with. John Paul DeJoria says that you're not in the order business, you're in the reorder business. How about you? Are you in the reorder business, or the transactions you're selling one time and not repetitive? If that's the case, then there's a flaw in the business model. So they reorder it, whatever that might be. They buy more. They recommend it. Referrals, recommendations, introductions should be icing on the cake, I had a mentor years ago. He said, Dan, why do you run paid ads? I said, I know, to get clients. He said, well, that's why you'll end up broke if you just do it that way. He said, the whole idea is to run ads to get a client, to serve them so they recommend it, which is why this is a conscious choice on this client journey that most people don't stop and think about. How many of you have ever thought about exiting your business, right? Well, if you wait to start building your model, your marketing, your sales systems around the idea that even if you just want to exit day to day, begin with the end in mind, day to day, or you want to sell it, you want to get a high valuation, and or you want investors to be attracted to it, even if you don't need it. The thing to be thinking about is, what does that look like? We've had a couple of our clients we've been working with as private clients of ours, 2 clients that just sold in the last 30 days or so at the time we're doing this, that we help them set the stage with the things we're talking about. Very strategically moving in. How would your business change if you had marketing that was very intentional in these areas to help people move faster, shorter, simpler, and also took less of your time, right? So that's what this 5-step approach will do. Vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based conversion events, and then scaling. So we've covered vision and growth plan. We've covered connection campaigns. We've covered fundamentals of lead machines. We've covered education-based events. We talked about going deep. This is the new model because it's what you do for people. It's what you do for your clients. It's what you do for your potential clients, not what you do to them to get them to be a client. It's what you do for them. And if you like that approach, like a lot of our clients, like Dean Graziosi, for example, Dean, I don't know if you know Dean. If you don't know Dean, no big deal. But Dean, we got a chance to work in his early days together and helped give him a jump start. And in our time, Dean, in his own words, said, we added about 11 million in growth together with the strategies we're talking about. And, Dean has gone on to some really prolific things now, partners with Tony Robbins and many others. So another example, maybe you're more like Dr. Sachin. Dr. Sachin is someone who had been encouraged and inspired to make a difference in the functional health industry with his patients and also his functional medicine practitioners, fellow practitioners like him. He developed a unique system. And so Dr. Sachin, when we met him, he had a bunch of challenges. He was the CEO. He was the #1 producer in the business and driver. They weren't growing, and he felt stuck. I don't know if anybody can relate. When we worked with him, we helped him generate 9,800 leads in about 100 days, give or take, and it added 1.7 million in revenue. How would that change the game for you? Out of 154 appointments booked, they had 75 enrollments for his multi-thousand. I think Phil could probably correct me, but I believe it was about a $20,000 to $30,000 program. We helped him then get a sales team in place also for him and his family to be able to diversify and free him up. He called it being the driver of the bus. It freed us up so that we could be the driver of the bus. That's the power of what these 5 steps can do. So here's what I'd like you to do before we kind of wrap up this segment, and then we're going to get into segment 2 here right around the corner. So how would you rate your vision and growth plan right now? On a 1 is low, 10 is high. For your 2025, 2026, 2027, how would you rate the clarity on your engineered vision and growth plan of what you're going to do? You've got it mapped out in math and so on. So I see 2, I see 6 coming in, 7, 8. Thomas, that's very honest, 0, 4, right? So I encourage you, write down a note of what would it take to improve it? What would it take to improve it? 5 from John, Dan is 7. What can you do today to improve it? Wherever you're at, right? One action step from today. One action step. Okay. What's one step though you can take to do that? Next, I want you to rate your efficiency at connection campaigns. Rate your efficiency at connection campaigns on a 1 low, 10 high. Do you have them ongoing without you? Right? Rate 1 low, 10 high. 2, I see a 2, I see a 1 for connection campaigns. You've got connection campaigns running all the time. Tim, the question is, how would you rate your efficiency and effectiveness right now with connection campaigns running in the background? 1 low, 10 high. John is a 2, Tim's a 0. This is common. This is a big part of the missing link in people's marketing strategy. Al's at 0. Okay, so what's one action you can take to be able to get connection campaigns spun up, fired up, and running, right? Gene says none. Yep. So you'd be on the lower rung there of a 0 or 1. Tim, no idea. Hire you. Al, that could be a possibility. Yep. And if you want that to look at what that might take or look like, Al, then reach out to Phil here on the team, and he can talk to you about scheduling up a time to review your business, right? Some of you are putting some hearts there and so on. That's cool, right? So how would you rate your connection campaign? Now, rate your lead machines at being able to bring you a steady flow of leads every day. 1 low, 10 high, right? John, I like that. Focus on the action, get my target list to implement. So rate your lead machines, 1 low, 10 high, bringing you a steady flow of leads every day right now. See, Judy's 1, Tim is 7. That's cool. John is 4. Again, what's one action step that you've got to take to move it up at least a notch or 2 or 3, right? To turn your lead machines into something that brings you more leads. You know, if you're at 3 leads a day or 1 lead a day, what do you got to do to get it to 5 leads a day? You know, stair step it, right? Don't compare yourself to others. Just compare yourself to you before you came in here today and go up a couple notches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x. Newsletters, YouTube. That's great, Tim. Starting in January. Next, how would you rate your model for education-based conversions, right? So again, this can be done through appointment and calls, or this can be done through direct events, to offers, or both. 1 is low, 10 is high. So how would you rate your ability right now as a company and a team, like compared to, you know, again, we use Apple because Apple's the most prolific. And granted, you can naturally go, well, I don't have the budget. That you don't need it. The key is the framework and the method or model more than it is the budget. The key is education-based events shorten all company sales cycles. Get people to buy and buy more often. If you're not using it, okay, put 0 or 1, and then, okay, what's an action step so I can in 2025 get my education-based model event and or make my conversion approach right now even better. I'll even simplify it. Let's say you're not used to events at all. I'll even take that objection away. How good are you and your team at doing conversions when you talk to a prospect? If it's not minimum 3 out of 10, and if you're not at 7 out of 10 with referrals, then your conversion is off. There's a flaw. So how would you rate it? 0 to 10. Nearly 10 if I get them on the phone. Awesome. So the question would be, Tim, how many are you getting on the phone? And if it's less than a dozen a month, then we got to fix it. Unless you don't want to fix it. I mean, if that's not what you want, then I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? So 4, 1 low, 10 high. Next, how would you rate your ability to truly optimize and then scale with speed to the next level? Like if you're at 100 grand right now as a business and you want to get to 3, what is your ability to scale that right now, today, all on your own? 1 low, 10 high. If you're at 300 grand to get to $1 million, 1 low, 10 high. 1 million to 3 million, what's your ability to scale? 1 to 10, 1 low, 10 high. 3 million to 10 million, 1 to 10. How would you rate it? Tim says he wants more. That's awesome. How about you? 1 low, 10 high. Yep. Takes focus and teamwork for sure. Scale with speed is 2. That's honest, John. Again, with all of these, wherever you're rating yourself, Gene, 4, appreciate that. That's very honest as well. What do you have to do to take it to that next level? And now here's the thing. What would getting your marketing system dialed up? Take each of those 5 numbers and move them up 2 to 3 notches in the next 3 months. What would it do for you? Would it give you more freedom? Would it give you more peace of mind, more comfort, more clarity, more certainty, more ability to do more of the things you want to do, more ability to scale, actually, bring in team members that you could bring in? And what would expanding your spokes do for you? What would expanding your spokes do for you? If wherever you're at today, whatever number of spokes, and you were able to get 15, 16, 17 spokes in the next, quarter, 6 months, 12 months, even 24 months, what would it do? How would it shift the game, right? If you want to scale, the plan is here, right? And so have you gotten some good stuff? If you've learned some good things in this first segment before we roll to the next segment in a few minutes, have you learned some good things? If you can type yes in the chat window. And I'd love to know what's one thing you've gotten that's the biggest, most impactful thing so far. Type it in, please. One key takeaway. Al says yes. Thank you, Al. Speed to implement. John, that's awesome. Who else? Posting to more places. Yeah, it can start with simple actions like that, Judy, right? So again, you have the ability to do manual and or by speed. My belief is do both where you can. Do it smart, do it profitably. That's what we are talking about all today. So that's posting to more places. That's great. What else? One key strategy from today. Evelyn, how about for you? Bentley, how about for you? Brendan, how about for you? Bruce, how about for you? Chuck, how about for you? Dan, how about for you? Dana, how about for you? Derek, how about for you? Good to see you again. Gene, Jake, John, Jolene, how about for you? Jody, Margaret, Mita, Richard, Susan, Thomas, Tracy, Zippy. More spokes on the wheel. Susan, that's great. Yeah, more spokes on the wheel. So I've already asked this, so I just got ahead of this a little bit. Now, I'd like you to imagine for a second, like what we've been talking about. want you to imagine you having come in here today, and ideally you're feeling like this. You're feeling bulletproof, in fact. You're seeing how the spokes in the wheel help you become bulletproof against cycles of the big companies to protect you, to keep you safe. Maybe to go feel like you're the world's best kept secret, like we talked about from the beginning, just waiting for the screen to pull back up.
The what?
So maybe you feel like the world's best kept secret, like we talked about this, Phil. Maybe you feel like the world's best kept secret. Maybe you feel like this painter, that you have something of value to the world, to the market, but you're undervalued and people are only willing to give you $300. When you see something like this, that you would argue, wow, I can do better than that. I am doing better than that. I do better than that every day, twice on Tuesday, if not 100 times a day. And this went for 1.5 million, right? So what would it be worth for you to have the system in place? Because at this point, you might be excited, but you just don't know what to do next. Maybe you're excited by the possibility, the ability to grow, and you're at a place where you don't want to make the same mistakes maybe you've made in the past, or maybe try something else that maybe hasn't worked for you. So I want to eliminate all of that risk for you right now. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to eliminate any risk for you at this point, because what do you need right now for your own mastery in business and success? What do you need? Do you need accountability? Do you need peer support? Do you need the strategy? Do you need the ability to have a system that's being built for you, run for you, managed for you? Well, guess what? If any of those things are true, and there's a whole lot more, like even education and fueling that fire, what if my team actually helped you implement and get this in place? What if our team helped you get everything we've been talking about in place for you? Would you want us to do that? Type yes in the chat window if you'd like to go faster and find out how we can help you implement and execute this directly with no risk. Speed is key. Yes, yes. See yeses coming in. Yes, Gene, yes. Great. Well, guess what? We can, and we're going to show you how. But first, what if I told you it won't cost you a dime to get started? It's true. That's true. It won't cost you a dime to get started. We're going to help you avoid the mistakes. We're going to help you see blind spots, get unstuck, eliminate the tech headaches. And I want us and our team to get on the phone with you. Take everything from a broad place, and we're going to narrow it down. And we're going to discuss exactly where you are right now. We're going to discuss and show you how we can implement this for you. And we're going to do all of that for free. Now, you might naturally go, well, Dan, why would you do that? Well, I'm looking for the perfect fit to be our next big success story with our show, our book, more books that we have for 2025 rolling in the next couple of years, an online TV show and a TV show network-wise that we're building into. And we need to know if we're a good fit. And if you are, we'll invite you to move forward with us. And the beauty is we meet you where you're at. You know, if you're a smaller business, we've got a smaller plan to stair step up into, because, you know, there's no point in talking about things you can't afford, right? The key is how committed are you? Like with that third question earlier today, are you committed to solve your problems for your clients? Well, number one, you got to solve your problems for you. And one of those problems may be marketing. So if you want our help for free for us to review and do a custom plan, we're going to make it super easy, eliminate any potential friction by talking to you about your plan. You can go to breakthrough3x.com when we have our discussion. We'll unlock some of the things we're going to talk about with our Breakthrough 3X Marketing Copilot. We're going to give you your customized plan, take it from broad to now narrow, specific, and we're going to introduce you to the proven strategies that we would do if we were in your shoes, and then we'll customize the plan and invite you to move forward with us. And if we've got a fit, we'll move forward. If we don't, you can take that plan and go implement it. You know, I don't know if you know who this guy is. Anybody know who Jay Abraham is? So I've been blessed and fortunate to, you know, serve Jay at a really cool level, and as a result, create some reciprocation with Jay and also earn his time and respect in the work and what we do. He says, Dan has dedicated a large portion of the last decade to help small businesses from all over the country grow and increase or turn around their profit picture. If you know anything about Jay, he doesn't easily endorse anyone. He does it through direct response mechanisms. He's got a lot of proprietary approaches. He's very, very strong on branding. He's somebody I've known for a long time. He has integrity. He helps people. He's one of the good guys. Operates in a realm I don't. He helps clients of all sizes and types. This model is geared to meet you where you're at, and we can help you. I don't know if you know who Joe Polish is. If not, no big deal. Joe says, you know, we talk about our unique mechanisms. Joe calls out a few because we have them in our book, by the way, because I don't want to let anything get in the way of us helping you. even our most advanced strategies are in the book for you to use. So at the very least, you've got that. But he says, if you're an entrepreneur trying to grow your business, it's vital to focus on getting and keeping customers. Would you agree? Right? Get and keep customers. In this new book, Dan focuses on the key elements you can implement. 5 pillars of direct response branding, the right fit filter, the ultimate pricing formula. If you ever felt like you priced too little or want to price more, how to go about doing that in a strategic way. The ultimate pricing formula, the education-based event model. He'll help you create irresistible offers. If your offers are not selling, it's probably not the marketing. It's your offer. Most people don't even put time into it. Work with clients you love, grow your business. This is a book you can refer to over and over. And it just so happened that we helped Joe expand Genius Network while we did what we're talking about here today as well. So if you want our team to help you, you can go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. Schedule your free one-to-one consultation. We'll review your business. We'll review your map. We'll give you a custom roadmap of what we would do and applying these 5 key strategies, help you find those hidden blind spots and a whole lot more. So go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. And then Phil, because, I think you hear from someone like Jay or see something like Jay or Joe, if these people and they're kind of in their own celebrity model and celebrity expert model, but you might be more able to relate to an everyday kind of human being. So Phil, if you could put the short video from Greg on for a minute, that would be great. Just let me know, just give me a heads up when you're ready and I'll turn my screen off. And I want you to hear from Greg. This is someone who I've got a lot of love and respect for, him and his wife. We've worked together now just over a year. I mean, he's now 100% year-over-year growth. We helped him slow or stop the shoulder seasons. We've built out these spokes slowly but surely. In his case, built him up. He's a blue-collar guy, kind of like my dad, who worked the lines at General Motors. And I just love what Greg and his family, and we'd love to help you. If you're more like Greg, an everyday kind of person, I think you'll really relate and connect to this. Phil, is that ready to go?
It is. It is ready.
So check this out, and we will be right back.
So for me, before I met Dan, and his team, this is something that we knew we wanted to grow, but we didn't know exactly how to get there and grow exponentially and to scale. And so there was a lot of overwhelm, a lot of uncertainty. There wasn't much consistency and or frequency, if a lot or any, in our marketing for sure, and a lot of other places. And so this is what really sets Dan apart and his team apart from everybody else. He's not only well-versed in everything marketing, he's well-versed on all things in business, not only in personal growth or team or numbers, whatever you're looking for. And this is what we really, or I should say I really love about him and his business and his team is helping us grow to that next level on all aspects of business. Yeah, and so the next 24 months, we've had actually the which is not normal for us in our business. We've had 2 back-to-back months that are bigger and better than our summer months. And it's really fun to see the ramp up of the marketing of whether that would be SEO, Google, LSA, YouTube, Facebook, all of these conversations that Dan and his team bring us into. And it's just on a consistent basis, being able to find or see those things, just the calls coming in.
So how cool is that? Can you relate to Greg? Maybe his story, maybe what he's going through? We have dozens and dozens of clients like this that we've worked with over time. And obviously we've given you a glimpse of being able to do that. Really proud of what we've done with 2 clients that we work with in the last 30 days that set the stage to sell their companies for nice multiples. And we'd love to show you how to put this in place. And it starts with a single phone call, right? Let's have a one-to-one conversation. We make it risk-free that way. We'll identify where you're at, where you want to go, and we'll show you a blueprint to get there. And if we've got a good fit, we can talk about the next steps. And, the question I'd ask you to think about is like, if you don't do this, what are your options? Well, you got a couple options. One, you can go at it on your own. And I'd challenge you to think, how's that working so far? If it's gotten you to where you are and where you want to go, and you haven't run into a lot of the, in your, you can see the forest through the trees, then by all means, go do it. And I hope you do. And I hope that if I see you out at a restaurant or I see you as I'm traveling all over the world, that you come up to me and go, Dan, what you shared with me, I was able to go implement and apply. I'd love nothing more than that. Or maybe you did that even from our book. I'd love nothing more than that. And that's certainly an option. Another option is that you go, hire another VA or another agency or whatever the case might be. And what I can share with you is be careful. And ideally, you've got some tools that if you're going to hire anybody in the future, you're able to ask some of the questions we gave you up front overall, and beware of amateurs because they're everywhere. And now most marketing has been watered down, filtered down, and almost anybody with a couple $100 can get a certification and be called an expert. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. If you'd like to go deeper, like Greg or any of the dozens of stories we've shared with you today, then I encourage you to simply schedule a time, go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. That's breakthrough3x.com/apply. Because here's what I believe in my heart. If you just give us a test, you say, I'll try it. You book the call. Then let's say we have a fit. We start working together. I believe within 90 days, we will show you exactly how to double, triple your leads and start you on the path to getting sustainability, predictability, and profitability through marketing. Maybe for some of you, the first time ever. And also have us build it, lead it, run it, management, and set you up a system that becomes an A-level system that within X amount of time, typically the spirit of our work with our private clients is we work together for up to 2 years. Then we hand it off. We're out. We're gone. Because the idea is the system carries forward. And now you can get a B-level person to carry that A-level system forward. And that's what a lot of what we do for you if we work together. So that's the best that could happen. The worst that could happen, we have a call, we're not a fit. You walk away with a proven custom roadmap, specific one-to-one based on your business versus, in a one-to-many kind of setting like this. So if that's what you want, then by all means, book your session. Go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. That's breakthrough3x.com/apply. I look forward to working with you and being able to serve you at the highest level. Now, with that in mind, and so I'm going to take a vote from you. You're here. You're committed. You're on the hook here. So, and I want to tailor this and serve you at the highest level.